What is up, guys? What is going on? Today we're going to be answering the age-old question: Is more expensive better, or can you get away with buying a cheaper helmet? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and let's get into it and let's roll this intro. Alright guys, what's going on? So today we are back in the garage for another G-Vlog or a Garage Metal Vlog, and today we're going to answer this question: whether buying an expensive helmet or a cheaper helmet. Now, to be honest, I think, it really comes down to two categories. A lot of new riders will go out buy a bike, and they'll either buy a really expensive helmet or they'll buy a really cheap helmet, right? Now, which one should you buy? And is cheaper better, or is the more expensive motorcycle helmet the way to go? Well, the first thing I'm going to say, guys, is 100% you do not need an expensive helmet. What you actually need is something reasonable. Do not fall for the influencers and the motorcycle vlog riders. They've got the Pistas, they've got these $1,000, even sometimes even over $1,000 helmets. They look fantastic. I'm sure they're carbon wrapped. I'm sure they look fantastic. But in terms of safety-wise, they're not that much different than your standard helmet, right? So what do you actually need to look for when you're buying a helmet? Well, it first depends upon what sort of motorcycle riding you are doing. And I say this in the nicest possible way. As a learner motorcycle rider, or even if you are just a standard rider like myself, we don't really need a race helmet. See, a race helmet will have the best aero for the helmet. However, the hearing protection and the comfort level of a race-driven helmet won't be the same as the comfort of a standard road helmet. Even the field of vision of a helmet are different. So what do I mean by that? So this field of vision over here is a lot wider than this field of vision, right? The helmet also sits a bit differently. So some helmets are designed where you have a higher vision. So if you're obviously riding a naked bike, it doesn't really matter too much with your field of vision. But if you're riding a super sport, you need to buy a helmet that actually helps you looks out and your field of vision is good, if that makes sense. I can sort of explain it like this. So if your head's like that, you don't want a helmet that's sitting too low. You actually want a helmet that has a higher field of vision. That's it. So you can actually look out and forward of the bike without having too much of an issue. Now, another thing you've got to look at is price-wise, all right? So this Shark, I think it's an S900. S900. So this was my first motorcycle helmet. I've had this for a couple of years now, actually more than a couple of years, almost 5 years, so it's almost due for a change. This is a perfect helmet. I think I paid something like $560 for it, so it's not too expensive. It is not just DOT approved. It is got here in Australia, we've got an Australian standards, which is equivalent to the ECE standard. So if you guys don't know what the ECE, it is just European economic whatever standard for helmets, and that is the best standard because they have a higher and a more stringent standard than DOT. DOT is really something that you should not really be considering. Most Temu helmets and most random helmets would have DOT certification, but what you really want is an ECE or an Oz standard if you're in Australia. Now, this helmet does 90% of what I needed to do, and as you guys can see, I use this helmet for filming, just because it's comfortable on my head. But this helmet really, guys, is the sort of helmet that I reckon if you're getting into riding and you've spent a lot of money on your bike and you don't want to skimp out on your helmet, you want to still buy a decent helmet, these are sort of helmets that I think you should be looking at. Something medium in the middle price range around, you can get cheaper helmets. I'm not saying you can't, but it has to be Oz standard or an ECE standard. I highly recommend you keep going with that. Now, some of the reasons why I changed from this Shark S900 to, I think this is my new Shoei NXR2, and this is something that you'll get experience over time, is your helmet at the time when you first try a helmet. There's a lot of things to think about. There's the shape, the price, and the size. So obviously the shape of the helmet, so each brand actually has a specific head shape that they do. They do change across different helmets, but I highly recommend you actually understand the size and the shape of your head, and then try different helmets out. Now, this Shark, for example, when I bought it, I actually really loved the graphic on it. It's really bright, it's really out there, and it kind of suits the the aesthetic of my RS-125, and that's why I bought that helmet. Now, it was a fantastic helmet. It does pretty much everything medium. I've used it for a couple of years. However, as I was riding, I wanted a bit more noise comfort, which is why I switched to the NXR. This thing is absolutely quiet, in my opinion. It is more comfortable. I think the shape is better than that shape. So essentially what it is, when I bought that helmet, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't research as much. Whereas when I tried the Shoeis, it was absolutely fantastic. And I feel that for my head shape, the Shoei might actually be the range of helmets that I'm going to try and stick to. Obviously, I'll try different ones to see how they fit, but this is the one that I found pretty damn awesome. So when it comes to buying helmets, guys, it's not about how expensive the helmet is. It's all about the fit and its function. So when you're buying a helmet, a couple of things I recommend you have a look at. First things first, you have to make sure it meets the ECE or Oz standard. If you're in Australia, they will come with a sticker like that. That tells you it's an Oz standard. There may not be the sticker right now, but on the box it should say it's an Oz standard. Second thing is make sure that your head shape is the right shape for the helmet. So you can go, I think there's 3 different types. There's like an oval, an oblong, and a round, I believe, head shapes. And if you go on the manufacturer's website, they'll actually describe the shape and size that their helmets are normally fitted to. So I highly recommend before buying a helmet, you go check that out. And the last thing is about comfort and noise. So a lot of the times people will just buy the helmet because of how it looks. And don't get me wrong, I think they look goddamn sexy. However, make sure the helmet is a snug fit, because over time, the cheek pads will go down. Now, this had a very cool feature back in the day. It had a little push to inflate, so the cheek pads inflate. So it was quite nice. And to be honest, I still think Shark do rather nice helmets. But that's it, guys. So 3 things. Oz standards or some sort of standard, not the DOT. It should meet Oz standard and ECE standards for sure. Make sure you check the size of your helmet, size of your head, and the size of your helmet. And finally, make sure you're buying a helmet fit for function. So what I mean by that as well is you don't want to buy a race helmet, because race helmets are designed for specifically the track. You want to buy a helmet that is more road oriented, if that's what you're doing. Now, if you're an ADV rider, you're not going to get an NXR. You're going to get an ADV sort of helmet. But most of the time, guys, if you're riding a super sport, you want to make sure that the vision of your helmet is helping you look out the front of your bike. And if you're a naked rider, or you're not a naked rider, if you ride a naked bike, the world's your oyster. You can really buy any helmet that fits you, as long as it fits you nice and snug. So to circle all the way around to the initial question of whether more expensive is better, the answer to that is not really. You see, if you're a new rider, you don't want to spend too much money. You just want to buy a helmet that does the job, that is just as safe as that helmet. And for most of the time, that's all you really need. Now, as you get further along in your riding style, and you'll sort of work out what sort of helmet you want. There's nothing worse than buying a $1,000 helmet, or even over $1,000 helmet, to find out that, hey, that isn't the helmet that I like anymore. It doesn't quite fit me. It doesn't quite suit my bike aesthetics or my bike ergonomics. And then you're stuck with a $1,000 helmet. So buy a simple helmet, guys, first up. As long as it meets the standards, and the safety standards is what's most important. Make sure the fit's correct, and don't really worry too much about the price, because as I said, guys, as you ride more and more, you will start to figure out what sort of helmet you want, and even later on you may just switch to a better helmet. All right, guys, so I think that's on helmets. If you think I have missed anything, please put a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on whether you think this is accurate or not. I'm always here to learn more about helmets and learn more about motorcycle in general. Other than that, guys, ride safe. If you like what I'm doing as well, hit that like, hit that subscribe. And if you really like what I'm doing, you can buy me a coffee. With that, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, ride safe. Bye-bye.